Jordan. Hi. Ooh,
I'm
hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
uh,
Hi.
what's going on with you?
Well, hello from Tokyo, Japan.
How is it there?
It's a well, today we're having a very nice, warm, spring-like sunny day. It is noon. I believe it's evening over there. Yeah?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
oh yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay.
All right, so we about to get this party started off right. Um,
Okay.
question one: what was it like growing up in Japan?
Wow. Well, I was born here, so it was very natural. I was born here, grew up here, so I don't think I could really compare. But my experience was, let's see, it was tough at times, but I feel very grateful because I was able to study or speak in both Japanese and English at the same time when I was a little kid. So I think that was very helpful. And I didn't go to a Japanese school. I had to go to an international based school. So I was able to get both language education wise. So I think I was lucky, very grateful.
Interesting backstory. Question two:
Yes.
what got got you bit by the singing bug, and when did it happen?
Okay. So before I talk about my singing, I used to play the saxophone since I was in fourth grade.
Us?
I fell in love with alto saxophone. And for some reason, I wanted to continue on with my saxophone and try to make it a career all up to my high school days. So I didn't sing at all until I finished college. But during college, I went to a music, college. I went to Berkeley. Um, I went with my saxophone, but from my second year, I changed my voice to my instrument to voice because my passion of singing arose. But at the same time, I felt like saxophone was not my destiny. It was a very, very tough decision and tough time in my life as a teenager. So that's how I got into singing. I was the second year of college, so probably I was like 19 years old. Yeah. And then
Quite
professionally, I started at 21.
quite a fascinating story there. But yeah, about the saxophone, it's an
Yes.
amazing instrument because I
Mhm.
love listening to jazz and funk, and when I hear it, it just cleanses my soul.
Oh, wow. I agree.
Yep.
I fell in love with the sound.
Yes.
I wanted to play it. And yes, I got into jazz at a very early age. And me too. I was into funk music and I was listening to, but not just jazz, but more like Earth, Wind and Fire and Cool in the Gangs.
Yes.
And of course I love the melodies and the singing and everything. I love the songs. I used
Yeah.
to dance to it, but I always heard the horn section in the background,
Yeah.
and that's where my ear actually went. I well, always, was attracted to the sound of the horn section and the brass section, and it was just so funky. And yeah, and that's how I got into saxophone, by the way.
Uh, yeah, that's an awesome story you got there.
Thank
And
you.
I still listen to those groups till this day because their music holds up really, really well.
Oh yeah, I know. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And Let's Groove is such a classic that the remake was in Dance Dance Revolution Max.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Really? I didn't get that one, but okay.
All right.
Wow.
Question question three. You already told me this a little bit, but you could expand on it. What was your favorite genre of music growing up?
Okay. Growing up, I listened to a lot of top 40s because it was always popular. So at my time, it was disco and dance music, a lot of music using, I would say, the real instruments, like,
Yeah.
real instruments before the synthesizers and the sequencers came out. So
Good
that's where I was.
drum
Uh,
machines.
no drum machines yet. That came in the 80s, but I used to listen to a lot of 70s. I grew up, Bee Gees, um, Saturday Night Fever was really big,
Oh
Grease was really
yes.
big. But this was only when I was single digit, age wise. So I was a small girl, but I used to really listen to a lot of discos, and I grew up listening. And then in the 80s, when Marvin Gaye came with Sexual Healing and with a little bit of the sequence and the drum machines, I don't know, my ears kind of left that part of the popular music scene, and more I was more attracted to like fusion music,
Yes.
meaning more towards jazz. Now we call it
Yeah.
smooth jazz, more instrumentals. Like I used to love David Sanborn and his music. That he's a saxophone player, and so I would go and check the albums. And in the days when you buy a record, or you look at the other side, or you look at whatever is inside, and you get to see who the band members are and where they recorded. And I used to really look into the credits of the album. Nowadays, it's everything is downloaded, so you don't really get that information right
Yeah.
away. You have to really dig into it. But
And on the internet because Wikipedia has that.
yeah, exactly. But in the days, we used to flip the album cover, the jacket, and then we used to see everybody, the musicians, and I was like, wow, this bass player is so good, and it was Marcus Miller, and all these jazz idols that I came to love later on. So I got into instrumentals and fusion music and smooth jazz, and then my ears kind of got attracted to a lot of the soft, I would say, 40s jazz music, like jazz standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of shifted during the 10-year period in my teens. And so I always loved the jazz vocals from the 40s. Yeah. So that's so there was a shift.
Awesome
Yeah.
answer. I love that story. And I
Thank
could
you.
and I could relate to that because I got into jazz and fusion and stuff like
Mhm.
that because I'm into Japanese music and video game music and I listen to all the influences and it
Yes.
expanded my horizons.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yep. Question four.
Okay.
When and where did you learn English?
Hmm. Okay. So I was born in Japan, and in a city called Kobe. Kobe was known to have a very big international population. And my father is not Japanese. He came to Japan in the 50s, and he resided there for the rest of his life. My dad is from Israel, and so my mom is Japanese, and so naturally at that time, well, laws and things were different then. So when you had a Japanese, oh no no, a foreign father in Japan, I had to go along with my father's nationality. So what happened was I could not enter the Japanese school system at that time. Now it's different, but So I had to naturally get into a international school, which there was because we had a big community there. So that's how I um, started my English education since preschool all up to high school. So that's how I got my English.
Oh, fascinating story. And you sound very natural speaking it, very
Oh,
fluent.
thank you. I still have trouble.
I don't hear it.
I have
And
trouble in Japanese too. So,
uh yes, I speak Japanese like a 2-year old because I watch anime and I can only get the popular phrase like oi da teme and shikshaw.
yeah, yeah. It's very funny that you pick up those words from anime and try to use it in regular communication. Sometimes it gets a little off, but yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's still work in progress for me, but
Yes. Good for
question
you.
thanks. Question 5. What was it like attending and graduating the Berkeley College of Music?
Okay. Um, so I went there right after high school. So I was like 17, 18. Um, and I'll say this, I went there in 1987. 87 to 1991. I went there 4 years. Well, the experience there, we had no internet, we had nothing like that, nothing. We have no internet, so everything was different then. We had to go to the library. We had to go to Tower Records nearby. We had a very good Tower Records nearby. I think it's still there, but it's Boston. So we used to go there, just hang out and check out new stuff. So it was very difficult for somebody like me who's never lived in America before. Although I spoke English, it was different. I didn't know the American culture. I only knew the music. So I did have a very tough first year just to get used to the culture. I didn't know how to respond when a gentleman opened the door for me. I was like, no, you don't have to do that. I could do that myself. I was like that. And he was like, no, 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 we have a thing called ladies first. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. But so that was interesting. Um, Boston it was a very rough neighborhood at that time. We had a very high um,
Poverty.
number of what?
Are you talking about like poverty and the
Um,
crack epidemic?
yes, and yeah, just everything. People were getting killed, and I don't know. It was very bad, and it was scary for a teenager girl to be there. But we had a good music community, um, and a lot of great musicians were there. I was not a great musician at that time, so I was like, "Oh my God, he's so good, she's so good," and I used to kind of like be very shy and not be able to really interact with the people there. So when I look back, I was very shy and I didn't really get to be friends with the people there at that time. But then if I would have became friends, oh my God, there were so many famous people now that were there at that time. And but I respect them so much. So my experience in Berkeley during those 4 years, um, we didn't have too many American students at that time. I think it has a lot to do with the economy at that time. We had a lot of people from Asian countries and European countries, so that was interesting. The jazz scene was very very European, and in a way, and Asian, and but it was so cool. It was so cool. I got, like I said, I went with my saxophone. I felt it was not my destiny, so I changed my instrument to voice. So from the second year, I got into the gospel choir. I got into a jazz singing ensemble, jazz chorus, kind of. And I also got into another vocal, more like an a cappella group. And so I was very lucky to be able to get into those three groups for the rest of my 3 years in college. And I'm grateful that I was able to read music through my saxophone. I was able to actually follow the music. And at that time, I was told that there weren't as many singers who can actually read music. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And so they said, since you can follow the music, come into the group. I know the singing will come later. I know you're not singing yet, but the singing will come with you. So just follow your heart and start reading the music and sing the music. And I was like, okay. And so I was really into reading music, and I did. I was in a group where we sang a lot of Manhattan transfer music and Take Six style of music, the a cappella style. So that was good experience for me. It actually made the foundation of who I am right now. So, and the gospel choir actually really, really taught me a lot, singing in groups and being in harmony and to express. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome backstory.
Thank
Like,
you.
especially reading music. Like, I cannot read music because it's like reading kanji to me.
Mm. Yes,
But
yes, yes. Good comparison.
but I always save the sheets to my favorite songs with the instrument. Like, for example, I have the Rhodes piano notes from
Mhm.
Queen's You're My Best Friend, because I kind of was getting into keyboards and synthesizers, but I had to drop it because of I have a full-time job, so I can't
Mm.
commit to
Right.
musically. But I
Hmm.
always keep the sheets so I can get better at knowing breaking down songs analytically.
Yes, that's good. Yeah. You could always go back to music. Always. It will
Oh
it will always
yes.
stay with you. So yeah,
Yeah.
continue what you do.
Oh, for
Always
sure.
go back.
And I love the story about culture shock because I've unfortunately had my experiences with culture shock, and it was not fun dealing with that, but I liked how you adapted to your environment,
Thank you.
especially when you
Mm.
found a common ground, which was obviously music.
That's so true. That's so true. I guess I wasn't really used to people being so nice.
Uh, yes. Like, I get surprised when someone is kind to me because I'm honestly insecure and I'm always snarking at myself internally, but now I'm just living my best life because I'm interviewing you, Paula Terry, and all those folks from Bimani, because I've been getting back into playing Dance Dance Revolution and I've been having the time of my life with it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm so glad.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Question 6. Were you ever into dance music like techno, house, dance
Mm.
pop, or Eurobeat?
Mm. I wish I was. It's not like I didn't like it. I loved it. And I especially I like house music. Like I said, I'm from disco era. So house music was kind of I related right away
Yeah.
because I don't know, it has a connection with a lot of the disco beat.
Oh yeah,
Um,
obviously dancing too.
yes, the musically explaining, if I could explain it in my own words, back in the days in the clubs, like disco clubs, um, we had live band. It wasn't record. There was a live band. Um, so I had a teacher who had experienced the disco era being a band member. So he said it was fun, but it was very boring and tiring at the same time. He said, the way he explained, he was a drummer. He said for hours and hours he had to, um, be in the groove for hours with no stopping. So he had to change with his next uh, uh, drummer if he had to go to the bathroom to take a break, or if he had to sip water, or he said whiskey at that time, but he said he had to turn around and he couldn't play the drums for a few beats, but he would sip something, and then he would go back to the group. And he said that was kind of tough at times because you'll go mentally crazy at sometimes because you're doing the same thing over and over for hours. So, but then that was his job, he said, and that was very interesting when I heard that. So, a lot of the band who experienced doing the live music situation in the clubs uh, um, had that kind of experience. So when the sequencers and the drum machines and the computers came out during the house beat, the same groove going, just going over and over again. Even funk music, it's the same groove over and over. Um, I think that style of music is actually like my style of music. When you experience the same groove for a long time, and then it becomes like a chant and like
Yeah,
in a meditation state, and then I guess you to call it trance or something, but then
yeah,
you kind of feel it for a long time, and then you start to shift somewhere. Your conscious will kind of like shift somewhere and get into the music, and that was very very interesting. But then, like I said, I come from the time where everything was live, so
yeah,
it
yeah. Like
was kind of different.
yeah, like that was before loop pedals were invented because now you could just like hit the pedal switch and go to the bathroom or take a call or something.
Right, the loop. Exactly. So that story from the 70s, I think, was very interesting
Yes, I
to me.
agree. But yeah, I'm always listening to drum and bass, house, techno, and Eurobeat. And a coworker of mine, his name is Dan Hitchman. He asked me, "How do you listen to this stuff constantly?" I said, "Just live your best life, be a dancer, and feel the groove." And Dan
Right.
says, "I have to get, I have to get I have to get I have to get fucked up on drugs in order to enjoy this constantly because we were listening to the classic Dynamite Rave remix before the Beat remix, which is like
Uh-huh.
very heavy, hard pounding and has a very heavy groove.
Oh, it does. Wow, I gotta check that out.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
but the repeating of the rhythm, the repeating of the groove is actually like a chant, I think.
yeah. But
Um, mm,
yeah, that's how Japanese people are good at rhythm games and music in general because they use their mind as a metronome.
I see. Wow. Okay. Mm.
All right, question 7. What's a song that you still listen to from your younger years that still holds a lot of sentimental value to you?
Wow. I've already said it. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah. Here's mine, Believe by Cher, because I remember being 3 years old and hearing it and playing it in DDR and listening to the radio. It
Yes.
never gets old.
Oh yeah, I like
Do
that one
you
too. Yeah.
believe in life after love?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. My
Yeah,
favorite Cher song.
yeah. Oh, I bet I have more, but I all I could think of the whole album of Earth, Wind and Fire. Just
Yes.
it's still in my iPhone and it's still in my car, and yeah, it's always
Amazing,
good.
amazing group. I always
Yeah.
dance to their music.
Yes.
All right, question 8. How did
Hmm.
you get the job singing for Bemani?
Okay. I think it was 1997-ish, I think. Um, I because I was a singer, I used to get calls from studios and I sang jingles for radio stations and I would do all kinds of stuff for TV commercials and stuff like that. And I was also doing voice acting. So I would get all kinds of gigs for my job, for my voice. And so one day I got a call, come to the studio. This was for, I guess, Dance Mania, which maybe I didn't know until I went there. Maybe I forget. But then I remember I was supposed to write lyrics to this particular songs. I think it was 2 or 3 times that I had to write lyrics to, I think. And I went to the studio and I met the person who wrote the song. And then we
Naoki
recorded
Maeda?
Naoki. Yes, the Naoki song. Yes. And so he asked me to write lyrics and I wrote it and I sang it and there you go. That was it. I didn't know that it was going to be this big. And I didn't know that it was going to be like followed for years and years after the recording. Yeah, so that's how I got my job to be
Uh,
singing.
uh,
Yeah.
awesome story. And before I get to the next question, like I always
Yes.
wanted to get into the voice acting industry because
Hmm.
it always looks like a lot of fun, but I tried my hand at it and I just got sick of the process
Hmm.
and like how much time it was consuming and how much money I was losing in the process. Said, you know
Oh,
what? I'm just going to have a full-time job and then I'm going to retire at 55.
okay. Sounds like a plan.
Oh yes, for
Yes,
sure. And
yes,
question 9. What
yes.
was the creation of My Summer Love? You
Hmm.
explained it previously, but what was like creating it and how what was like the brainstorming process of writing the lyrics?
Okay. You know, I don't remember if I was given a theme, but then because of the tropical arrangement and the reggae style rhythm, I think I had this image right away of like beaches and summertime and falling in love and having a cocktail, maybe, from the beach. I think that's where the image came. And maybe I explained that to the writer and he said, cool. And so I just went ahead and plus, additionally, um, I was in my 20s, I think, early 20s at that time.
Yeah.
So, the thought of writing lyrics and, having this tropical arrangement, I don't know, just right away shifted to love stories, just
Oh
meeting a
yes.
boy, meeting girls, boys, having a good time. So that was
Oh,
easy. That was
yeah.
easy. The image part
Yeah.
was easy.
Yeah, it comes naturally because that's where the best love comes from.
Sure, yeah.
And
Summer
another
vacation. Yes,
oh yes, I live for that. But
yeah,
anyway, let's talk about your voice because right now I hear like a raspy kind of
yes,
voice, but on the song like you sound very young and
yes,
girlish. Like
exactly.
tell the difference between your normal voice and your singing voice.
Okay, so years passed by since I recorded um that song. So, like I said, I was in my 20s. I was, ooh, when I recorded, I think it was like 25 years ago, 26 years ago. So you're right. My voice wasn't so harsh or raspy. Um, it was more clear, and plus, because of the key of the
Yeah,
song and the way the song actually flowed, I actually went into that sweet girl
yeah.
image character, and so I sang it that way, which I think I still can do, by the way.
I
But
yes.
then, yeah, but lately I've been singing more, how do I say, jazz and more
Yeah.
funky
Yeah, like
style, like soul
sultry.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sultry, similar to your normal voice.
Yes.
Yeah, like I love
Exactly.
your voice, especially the girlish voice, because it's very unique and calming to listen to. Just makes
Oh,
me
thank
feel
you.
better listening to it.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I
You're
can still do
welcome.
it.
Yes, you still got it. That
I still
question
can.
that question is coming up later, and I was talking to Paula Terry because Paula has a low raspy Australian accent, but she said that she had to sing really high and sound girlish when she worked with Naoki.
Oh, really? Okay. So everything is about the
Yeah,
key of the song. But then, when you're a professional singer and when you're called to studios, well, it's important that you'll be able to sing in whatever key they provide. Sometimes, they'll lower it for you or bring it up a little bit. But then I
yeah.
think I respect the composer's, how do I say,
Intention.
intention. Yes, good word. Intention of writing a song in a certain key. So I like to be able to sing in that particular key if I'm asked to. So I'm glad I did it in that key.
Yes, you
Yeah,
made it very memorable.
thank you.
All right, and question 10. Who rapped on the breakdown? Because the vocalist was uncredited, but I keep thinking it's Naoki.
It's me.
Oh, holy cow, you're the woman of 1,000 voices. I thought it was Naoki or some studio session MC.
No, no, it was me with a different character, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, like
And
whose idea was that anyway?
I think it was his idea. I think
Yeah,
he wanted to do like a breakdown kind of style doing a
yeah,
rap. I think it was his idea, and I said okay, and I wrote some rap lyrics, um, and the reason why it sounds a little bit different from my singing voice
yeah,
is because I did a different character as well. But I think I sang in one octave, like higher octave and a
yeah,
lower octave, and then so we sang. Now it's really popular now, by the way,
yeah,
the octave technique. But yeah, so I did an octave rap there, so that's why I sound a little bit different from who I
yeah.
was
Like
in
that,
the song. Yes.
yeah, it always gets me hype when it gets to the bridge and then the breakdown, I just dance my ass off because there are a ton of arrows and I have because I like to freestyle dance. I can always do that part with no problem at
Oh,
ease.
that's so funny.
All right. And question 11. Did you hear similarities to the song I Saw the Sign by Ace of Base when you recorded it or heard the instrumental?
No, this is the first time I saw the sign.
Sign that
Ah,
up. Like it has the same beat, time
it
signature, and
does.
chord progression.
Oh my God. I didn't realize until you mentioned it. Whoa.
Yeah. Now, my man Naoki was slick because clearly he wanted licensed songs, but he couldn't access them because either they didn't want to give it to him or Konami didn't have the budget. So he had this idea, why don't I remake it with my own twist?
Yeah, yes, naturally that's the thing we do when a lot of law gets
Yes.
involved, legal issues. Yeah. Well,
And
that's
be,
interesting.
yes,
Mm.
and the same thing happened to the song Money by the Raga Twins because Naoki wanted it, but the Raga Twins and the label said no, so he made Make It Better as a take
Oh,
that to them.
oh, I see. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Thanks for making me realize.
Yep. My man Naoki is slick.
He is.
Yeah. And question 12. Did you
Yes.
feel like it would have a lasting impression on the Dance Dance Revolution community and the rhythm game community when you recorded it?
Did it have a impact? What was that word you used?
A lasting impression, as in
Oh,
this iconic song that's still loved
oh.
till this day.
I had no idea it was going to be like this. It was going to turn out this way. Um, to me, it's going to sound a little sad, but it was a job that I did in a daily basis, and I got paid once, and that was it. So after that gig, I wasn't able to like hear what happened to the song or how popular it became or how it was going to be used. You know what I mean, right? And then
Yes.
and so I learned about this years after it came out from somebody who saw me on YouTube. I think he said your song on the Dance Dance Mania is on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, really? And so I had to go search it, and I found people were posting it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me, and they know my name, and I didn't even know my name was going to be credited. So I was very happy. I was very happy, and I'm glad. I'm happy that people my son's age actually are into it, and, uh,
Yeah.
and the name is credited, so that's very helpful. It's
Yep.
honorable. Yes,
Oh, for sure. Like
yes.
you really did do work and you made your mark.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
I'm glad.
So am I. And question 13. What was
Yeah. Mm.
Naoki's vibe like working with them in the studio?
I know. I think I only remember because this was like 20 some years ago, and I only met him at that time. I've never met him since then. Um, I only remember that everything was smooth, everything was very musical and professional, and I think we had a very fun time making it.
Oh
And whenever
yeah.
I sang something, I think I remember he saying, "Yeah, I like that." He would give me positive comments, and he didn't really fix anything. He didn't try to fix my way of expressing it. I think he liked exactly what I did, and it was fun.
Oh
It was fun. I wanted to
yes.
do more.
Oh yes. I wish
Yeah.
that would have happened because
Yeah, me
it's
too.
so sad that you were a one-hit wonder in DDR, but Paula Terry like had a lot of amazing remarks about him because
Mhm,
Paula also had a blast working with him, saying that he was the
mhm.
kindest guy ever and was always
Yes.
nice about improving stuff because obviously like Naoki gets you because you're Japanese and Paula is Australian, but
Mhm.
he's still kind and very professional.
Yes. True, true. Yes. I wish I could do it again, or I would still do it.
Oh yes, that question
It would
is
be so fun.
Oh
Yes.
yes, that question is coming up. Question
Okay.
14. How does it feel to be a part of a song that still resonates with people after 23 years?
Mm. Oh, wow. I'm honored. It was if it was something that was meant to happen in my lifetime, and it did, and I'm just so grateful, very grateful. I didn't know it was going to be this way. Who knew?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Only
but
God knew.
yes, but it was supposed to happen. So,
All right, and question 15. What are your thoughts on the Tommy Smile mix of My Summer Love? Because clearly it's still the same song, but now he refined and improved it because now he like it's not his worst critic, but he always likes to revisit stuff and remix it to see what he can do it because he felt like he hit his stride in fourth mix.
oh, so you mean there's a new mix of it?
Yeah, oh yes, it's called
Oh,
Tommy's Mix.
oh,
Yeah, he must yeah, like there are like vocals that weren't in the original, but it's still the same song. But now he added more instruments, and the rap breakdown is at the middle instead of the end of it. But
oh, really?
yeah,
I should take a listen to that. I didn't know.
oh yes,
I'll check. Is it on YouTube?
oh yes. Just
Okay.
look up My Summer Love Tommy's
Oh,
Mix.
should I do that now?
Oh yes, we have plenty of time.
Okay, so Tom, okay, My Summer Love.
Tommy's Mix. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, okay. My Summer Love, Tommy Smile Mix.
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Stupid ads.
Okay, okay. Oh, you got it.
Having a dance party.
Wow, it's my first time to listen to this mix.
Ah, la, 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 la,
Oh, okay. Okay, so he did change a little bit of the rap part. I see. Oh, there you go, you're dancing.
Boy.
Okay, well,
Woo!
thank you for telling me. Wow,
Oh yes.
I
That
like it.
oh yes, so do I. I always kill it when I play it. All right. Now that that obligatory dance party is out of the way, question 16. What's it like singing on stage?
Mm. Oh, it's my life, my love. Ah, it's a great feeling. Like I said, I guess I was a very shy girl when I grew up. I had a very hard time expressing, and I knew the form of art was the way to go. But still, I had to struggle being an artist. And but I'm so glad I didn't quit, or rather, I didn't find anything else I wanted to do. So when I'm up there, I'm just grateful and I'm excited. And I just want to make sure that the audience will take a little piece of me home. Um, I want them to feel, because I have a very, I sing in jazz venues. So basically it's smaller than, it's not like a hall or arenas.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that they are smiling, or they're either crying or, um, feeling emotional with me. And then I love it when they go home or leave the venue. They'll approach me and say, "I'm so glad I came today. I'm so glad. I was having a rough day, but I decided to come. And I'm so glad I saw your show." Or I that's the best compliment, for me, that they were able to shift their mind, shift their emotion a little bit, and then, raising their vibration a little bit. I'm so glad when that happens. So if that's my job, to make sure that their vibes, actually rises a little bit, and to prepare for the next day, for the next good day, I'm just so grateful. So if that's the job I'm doing right now, I love it. I love it.
Amazing. Like, I actually wanted to be a rapper, but I was so frustrated because, like, being on stage always looks like a blast.
mm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the unsung artists of hip hop, Vanilla Ice, says he loves being on stage. It's better than sex, it's better than food. It's the greatest feeling in the world being on stage.
Yes, yes. I agree. In a lot of ways, when I'm up there, I think I'm the most authentic. I'm most of authentic. So I'm the real me. I feel like it's the real me.
Yeah.
And I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great answer. And question 17. How do you feel like jazz music being the norm music genre thanks to the app TikTok? Because now people are dancing to jazz songs and using them in their videos, when people of yesterday said that, oh, only those outsiders listening to jazz, it's very elevator music.
Oh, well, right now the jazz music is expanding.
Yes.
It's still expanding, and I think right now, because it was actually collected by a lot of young artists, DJs too. In the past, they picked up here and there from the past, from the greats, from the jazz greats, and then they used it, and then they used it as a hook. They used it, things like that, like Quincy Jones. He
Yes.
would, he clipped a lot of the old jazz music, and then he would put it in the newer music. And then he did that a lot in the 90s and in the 2000s. And his collaboration with the young artists right now,
Yep.
everything is just, it's helping um, expand. But at the same time, I think what's happening right now is people are realizing that it's important to to also know where jazz came from, so,
Yes.
or how it started. So when you think about that, you could all go back to the jazz root tree, and then you'll go back
Yeah.
to the 30s and the 20s and even the early 1900s, and then you'll see how it kind of like branched out and explored by people. And so I don't know if everybody will go down that road, to study the tradition, or
Yeah.
how it came from, but still, to keep that alive, to keep the traditional jazz, alive, just like classical music. I think it's
Yes.
important that a lot of young people actually explores it right now in their own way.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I'm very happy, and I wish I was. Sometimes I wish I was in my 30s right now, so that because I know more, right? I have more knowledge
Yeah.
now. So I wish I could go back or be my 30s right now and then do more collaboration with the young artists,
Yeah.
which is getting, I don't get that a lot anymore. So
Yep. Like that's
yeah,
why you can make a TikTok because all the people that were into DDR and stuff like that are now into EDM and TikTok.
I see. I should.
Oh yes. I'd follow you in an instant.
I do have a TikTok account. I only have like a few up, and I don't. Yeah, I will do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing answer on
Thank you.
jazz. Question 18. Would you be down for a Bimani and Dance Mania tour? Because Paula Terry cartoons eh, are all down for a tour.
Oh, really?
Yep, singing,
Oh.
and you can kill the stage by singing your hit My Summer Love. And you could shock everyone rapping the breakdown part because they'll have
Oh,
the same reaction as me. That chick sang
really?
rap that part.
Wow. I didn't know they were touring. Wow.
Yeah,
I would
and
love to be involved.
yeah, they still tour, but I gotta get in contact with the promoter and spread the word so we can make this tour happen because Brenda Vaughn that's saying groove also is down for it.
Yeah, I'm down for it too.
Oh
I wonder if they know that
yes.
I'm still living in Tokyo.
Oh yes. I'll definitely let them know.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and question 19. This is actually a kind of a two-parter. What was the most fun you had singing an original song, and what was the most fun gig you had singing on stage?
Hmm. Original music is always fun. It's because you own it, and then you express it, and then
Yes.
you don't know if it's going to be good until it's done. But then when it's, you gotta lay it down and then see how that will walk off, and then see where it travels to. And honestly, I didn't know that this song, um, "Oh Summer Love," "My Summer Love," had walked so far, to the world. So to be finding out uh, that truth after 20 some years, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Ditto.
And but then when you're creating at that time, you just don't know that that's if that's going to
Yeah.
happen, or you're just kind of doing the best you can in the studio and the people that's involved, and you just feel grateful that you had that job, and then you walk off to another job, and then your days go by. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing feeling. And the other question was, how does it feel to gig, you said?
Yeah, what was the most fun
Yeah.
you've had doing a show singing?
So, oh, well, lately this year, um, I've been doing a lot of tours for my own band and own group. So we did a lot of shows outdoors in jazz festivals, and I do use instrumentals. My band,
Yeah.
we don't use sequencing and stuff. We don't do that, but still, the groove is hot. We make sure that everybody's dancing and on their feet. Maybe sing together. I do a lot. Right now, I recorded a Doobie Brothers song, Long
What?
Train Running.
Oh yes, that's my jam. It's such a classic that
Yes.
it was remade twice in DDR by
Oh,
the group Bus Stop and Italian music producer Extreme.
oh wow, really? Okay, I got to check that out. Well, I happened to record that last year, um, in my band, Gila Zilkha and Super Soul Jazz, and we have it in our album, and then we play that in jazz festivals. And whoa, people go wild, and people my age, we used to dance on that song
Yeah.
in the discos. Yeah, we used to dance, and they go la, we used to do that. So now when the audience, from that time, they're out in the audience, they're stand up and start dancing, and we had just have a very wild time with that song. I so to answer that question, my gig is always fun. We have a lot of people laughing and smiling and sometimes crying, because I like to talk about my songs. And sometimes I do have a very good background story to why I wrote that song. So it's interesting. Some people kind of feel close to what I felt at that time.
Amazing story. I gotta take time off from work and attend one of your shows and link me some concert footage and stuff
Oh yeah,
because
please,
I
please.
because I definitely gotta get down to your version of Long Train Running because
Oh
it's a classic. That riff is timeless. It always sets the tone and gets me moving,
yeah,
especially the guy on the congas going crazy.
yeah, yeah. True. Um, yeah. One of my live clips are on my YouTube channel, so maybe you
Yes,
can check it.
so it's just your name, right?
Yeah, Gila Zelka. Well, the band name is Gila Zilkha and the Super Soul Jazz and Super Soul Jazz, but yeah, it comes out. And I'm also singing Aretha Franklin's Think.
Oh
That no,
yes,
I did
classic.
an arrangement. Yeah, classic. And I did an arrangement of that. And so we're singing that. And yeah, you'll find a lot of more. I'm gonna be
Awesome.
uploading
Def
more. So
awesome. I'm definitely doing that after this
thank
interview.
you.
And last
Yes.
question, what's your favorite dance move?
Woo! Whoa, I don't even know if I know names of dance moves. Um,
Oh,
the
well,
name or
like the name and movement. I like
I don't know the name.
voguing
Oh,
and
um,
this thingy, the
oh,
robot, the
okay.
Reebok.
Is that the Reebok?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm a classic girl, so I'm like
And
I like the down.
the scarecrow that Michael
Oh,
Jackson does.
okay, okay.
And here's something you might do: the prep.
Oh, I don't do that one, but I like it. I guess
Yeah,
I'm like really, the basic.
yeah, the two-step
Yeah.
and the snake.
This. Oh, yeah, I like the snake. Ooh. Oh, my neck hurts. Oh,
And I bet you could do the Carlton because that's my favorite.
the Carlton. Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I like. Yes.
All
Oh,
right.
I
It
didn't know there were names
was
for those. Okay.
yes. The art names. You can go on TikTok and YouTube and look at more dances because that's how I know how to cut a rug and obviously playing DDR.
Oh, okay. Sure.
All right. It was amazing talking to you. I had a
Yeah.
great time interviewing you. And if you have a Facebook account, I'll find you and add you so we can
Yes.
talk some more.
Okay. Yes, I do have. I do have two accounts on Facebook. My
Yep.
fan account and my regular account. You could check it out, please. Yes.
Awesome.
Instagram. Yes.
Yes. It was amazing talking to you. Arigato
ありがとうござ
gozaimasa.
いました。どうもありがとう。Thank you so much.
じゃあな。
じゃあな。